What a good half year.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Wednesday, and we're here with Mr. Maxf, or as you know him on Twitch, Maxf Live. How you doing?
What's up, dudes?
Dude, nothing, man. It's been a good week. It's been busy but good. The place I work, we're doing like a big sale this week.
Yeah.
And so things have been crazy. So, what about you, Chewy?
Good, man. It's been a solid week. A little busy, but it's been a solid week. Scott Water, thank you for the 10 months, as well as G Willard, thank you for the 6 months, guys. If you haven't, Scott Water runs stock. Go check that out. He posted about you can now make like lists. I made mine this morning while drinking my coffee. And I can post that list if I can find it. I believe I can't talk. What else is new? You can like go to this link, and I this is like things that I own or recommend. It's actually really cool. So now, things that are in stock that people can. We're not sponsored by them, by the way. I just think it's a great site that shows what's in stock, and those are all things that, like, I highly recommend. I'm sure Eric's would probably be a little different, but for the most part the same there. But I know he'll eventually make one. So it's a cool way to kind of like, hey, this is a lot easier, and this is what you can buy right now. So pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Having things in stock. I like that.
What is that?
Right?
That was just KBD fans when I started. You started, Eric.
Dude, yes.
For the longest time. Yep, for the longest time.
Maybe a little novel keys. If you really wanted like Gator on Reds or Kale clicky jade greens.
Clickies, right. Yeah, you want the MX blues.
Not the nice clickies, because those sold out fast. But
yeah. Extra stock and originative. And it still took them a month to send it to you.
Dude, right? Like, it's crazy to think like how long GMK sets were still in stock on originative. Granted, it took forever for them to get to you, but like,
you had it.
You could get it. Like, you could buy them.
Or
like,
GMK Necropolis.
Dude, SA Hyperfuse was on sale on originative for like 2.5 years.
I think
they kept bringing it back. They kept rerunning it. Yeah, that was my first SA set. My only SA set.
I'd love to own an SA set. Drop.
I take that back.
Drop. I'd love to own an SA set again. I'd love to own an SP SA set. Drop.
Signature Plastics. Yeah, they would used to. Remember when they used to go to all the meetups? Yeah,
Dude,
they would have like they would have like the full like convention style meetup out there in Seattle. Yeah.
What are meetups? What are meetups?
maybe one day we'll figure it out.
One day.
I miss you guys.
It's gonna be a ride. Welcome, guys.
Thank
this
you.
is Maxf Live. Maxf for short. So awesome Keeb streamer. Quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners. Before we get this thing going, we've got OmniType Canon keys and Project keyboards, as well as Zap cables, Type Beast and Smith and Rune. We'll hear more from them later. If you are new to the channel, we usually start with a fast 4 for our guests. So Max, starting it off, top 4 favorite switches.
So I'm an OG kind of guy. So I've got to go with the vintage Cherry MX Black or like really any cherry switch. It can be like black or red as long as it's nice and smooth and broken in. Tuned nicely with a good spring swap. If I'm gonna go like another newer linears, I like the Gateron Inks and the JWKs. I'd put that at like number 2, like interchangeable. I don't think in any order. I'm gonna go with tactile tactiles are clearly for rubber domes. So gotta go
spicy takes.
Gotta go Topra for, it's kind of a switch, not really, but Topra comes in at the tactile, and so does Alps. I love a good Alps, an Alps orange. I don't need to go anything too crazy with the brown. I don't like it too heavy, despite these man mitts. They're very weak fingers. I like very light. I'm going to go with an MX tactile, which is.
Should we just wrap this thing up now? Rubber domes, light switches, call it a night.
They're kicking me out of here. Yeah. But yeah, anything that people get hyped on, I generally don't like.
Hey, the hipster.
MX Browns being bad was a terrible meme that you all bought into, and MX Browns are secretly a fantastic switch.
Yeah, I feel like it's a meme, and it's always really been a meme, and then a whole bunch of people were like, actually took it as like community canon, and they're like, yeah, no, these brown switches are awful.
What about like ergo clears? Is that too much?
With a good spring swap, I'll take a 62 gram to a 60 gram spring swap. If you go anything lighter than like 60, like a 59 gram spring, that's about the lightest you can go with those, I think. But yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that for sure. So
there you go.
I like a nice half plate or like a polycarbonate plate. Ooh.
Getting flexy.
We are just on the opposite ends of the spectrum, man.
we are creatures from two separate sides of the world.
Hey, it's one thing that's great about this community is that there's so much variance in what you can like. And the next question will be the caps that go on top of those switches. Your top 4 favorite keycap sets.
So I'm like cherry profile all the way, and so. I'll keep it to MX for that. And so for keycaps, I've got to go with like, first would be like an OG die sub. And so like NCR is always a classic one, or like SAU or something like that. I love all of the ones with like the crazy sub legends that CRP redoes now. If you've got like the original variants of those, they're incredible. The plastic mix that Cherry used back in the day, it was just so primo. It sounds so dumb like talking about it, but it did make a difference, and it does feel good. BSP die subs are kind of like of the same quality almost too. Number 2 would be like let's go with like a either an OG double shot, like a beige, or like an OG wob set. Like that's got to come in at number 2. As you can tell, I'm all about the beige and the white on black. I love that they're bringing back, like in GMK as well, like here's my current keyboard. I love that they're like bringing back all like the OG like doubles, the Greek legends on this thing. Number 3, I've recently started adding color to everything.
Because I was like, man, do you order like specifically white and black Skittles?
Everything else is just an obstacle. But yeah, with like number 3 and number 4, I'll pick some more colorful sets. Like I love, like, I mean, as much as it gets kind of like, a bad rap for how it was ran, GMK Hyperfuse round 1.
Ooh.
Like the colors as they weren't meant to be, which ended up how they were meant to be in my mind, with those purple Windows keys, like super clean. I love that. It looks good on so many different colors. And then I want to say Doltra number 4, but I should say something else like more colorful and fun. I love anything like Oblivion, so like play on Dolch, right? But like change up the alpha colors, or like go with like that same grayscale like shade and like mix it up a little bit. Like any set like that, I'm all in. Like, and they even do it with more colorful sets like Future Funk. You've got like the original Oblivion sets. You've got Dracula. I mean, all of
there's
them.
one running like right now. The color
so
color
good.
chrome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So good. I love the look of Norse, GMK
Mhm.
Norse.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny.
all the new cool legends too. They're a lot of fun. Too many to count. Dracula's my trigger word, says Mason Gray. Got him.
Man.
Yeah. And real quick, we were asked since you showed it off when you we were asked by Sean's show off the dailies, and you showed off your board. But what is on your desk, and we can show that off before getting to the next fast four.
Yeah, so the daily is the ogre. So this is like, and I normally like rotate between like many of the keyboards on the shelf behind me, but I've been like using this keyboard for so long. It's just like a nice softer bottom out to it with the gasket. I've got it built right now on a half plate with some Gateron yellow stems in a cherry top. The Gary's has a really cool like chalky sound to it.
Gary the ogre, I like it.
Gary the ogre. That's right. I like that. And then yeah, I mean, like, do you guys want to see like my mice? Nobody cares about that. I got the. Here we go. Here's the other one too. There's the Pro, the HHKB Pro 1. So all tacked with it's dust and everything. It's got the real force sliders on it. So real force sliders and silencing rings. So that's my tactile go-to if I need that.
Any changes from yesterday, Osiris?
No, dude. Still rocking my Iron 165. Still here. Nice. Thought about changing the keycap set, but then I was like, you know what? It looks so good.
Looks so good with
Not a chance.
Squid 60. And
go.
very not heavy, tactile, colorful board. I'm sure this would just make you sick. It's very stiff typing. It's a base. It's borderline a fixed layout brass plates.
This is why Chewy never wanted me on the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Although I think right now I'm using the highest weighted switch because I have 78 gram.
You're beating me by 4 grams at the moment.
Yeah, 78 gram Zykos.
Yep.
In here.
Yeah.
So.
And, these are the ones in mine were 74 gram Moyu Blacks or Everglide Dark Jades.
Yeah.
I have a heavier spring in mine right now. I have Gateron yellow springs in there. So I think those are like a 65, give or take. So
there you go.
That's about as high as you get me. That's about as high.
Hey. Yeah. That's my linear board is 98 gram springs.
That's like training for me. That's like stamping the fingers.
It's so fun to type on though. So much fun to type on. But that is for the dailies at the moment. Your top 4 favorite keyboards.
Oh man. Well, you see the hoodie. I think my go-to is I think any TGR TKL. I love the 80% and I love the 65. The 910 is so good. Yeah, I mean Sam's just got a passion for it. He's just, he's a wizard. So I think that's got to come in. Let's put like, TGR 1, 2, 3, and 4 now. No, so I'm loving Zekken's boards right now. The Ogre is incredible, really solidly built. Kind of has that classically clean look to it. No over the top frills. So throw that in there. I know I should probably order these, but I'm gonna do a cop out and kind of just put in like no particular order because I like these all so much.
Works.
And then let's put I love the work coming out of I'm going to do one newer designer. So Lewis from Hand Engineering. So both his solo stuff as well as the stuff he's doing with Dale Snail. So the Dalco Mini, and a couple of other projects they've got upcoming. So some I've tried, some I haven't. Are really top notch. And then I'm gonna have to throw in something old and Korean for a top 4 for sure too. So let's go with let's go with probably a more unpopular keyboard. I've got to throw in something with some feet. So let's do the 356 DGE from OTD. That has got an incredible typing, just everything, feel, sound, everything. So the keyboard, it's all about the feet.
Lots of very easy to get and not very expensive boards there in that top 4.
Right. That's right.
No, yeah. Those
Stuff you go buy tomorrow. Put it in your Amazon wish list.
Dude, yeah. I saw these are like the Dalco Mini is a board I really want to try. Hopefully once meetups actually start happening, I can snag one for a couple minutes and play around with it. But yeah. Next up, the final question will be your top 4 favorite foods.
Ooh. I mean, COVID has messed it all up because it's such a communal thing, but I love Korean barbecue. I mean, again, 1, 2, 3, and 4 could be alcoholic marinated meats. So I mean, you can extend that all the way up to like my top 10 favorite foods, but I love the community element of Korean barbecue, and it's just not the same getting it like carry out. So I haven't had Korean barbecue in probably 11, 12 months at this point. So I'm missing it hard. I'm ready to go back. Get the whole crew around a table and have some bulgogi fired up and everything else in between. Love a good burger. Can't go wrong with a good burger.
Can't go wrong with good.
I'm East Coast, so I'm gonna say, there's really good ones here, but I'm gonna trigger people by saying Five Guys.
What is that? It's my favorite. That's my favorite burger place. Like
seasoned fries are just so good.
Seasoned fries are good. The grilled jalapenos are so good. Like I love like Whataburger's like peak of just fast food, but Five Guys to me is my favorite burger.
Five Guys is good. Yeah. In-N-Out I think has them beat from an economic perspective, but I've never had In-N-Out, and so I can't
In-N-Out
eat out Five Guys for me.
I just don't like. I think the bun is too buttered for me.
In-N-Out is a different. It's like I'll go eat In-N-Out when I want a burger, but I don't want to like feel nasty and sloppy afterward. When I want like the true burger experience where the grease is going to be on my hands as I'm consuming it, somewhere like a Five Guys is where you go.
You have to eat it in the foil still.
Yeah.
Get all the grease away from
you give it a couple minutes after they give it to you over the counter. So
honestly, Five Guys is better delivered than it is.
Oh, yeah. It is.
Like
you gotta give it some time to let that cheese melt. You take it out instantly.
And let the burger tannins mellow.
Slightly aged.
Right. So there's 1 and 2. I've been trying to broaden my horizons with all sorts of like, HelloFresh lately, since we're all locked in at home. But for number 3, I mean, you can't go wrong with tacos. I'll do that any which way. I've got a banchan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, close to me as well, and so I can get bulgogi tacos, which are absolutely fire. Banchan is like, if you guys don't know, it's like a Korean wings. Korean hot wings, and they do soy wings too, spot and but the other items they have on the menu are top notch. Really good French fries there too. And then 4, let's say, but any taco. Going back to number 3, any type of taco. I mean, I'm happy with some steak from Chipotle with the hard tacos. That's the go-to item at Chipotle. The hard tacos with the steak, and throw some guacamole on there with the fajita veggies. And then number 4 is just gotta be a good steak. Those, I mean, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, but those are all interchangeable today. Like a good ribeye, bone in, bone out, doesn't matter to me. Throw it on the grill, season it with some salt, some pepper, maybe a little bit of olive oil before you throw it on the grill. Good to go. Eat it with some sides, veggies, potatoes. nothing. Doesn't matter. I could go with some red meat all day, every day.
Dude, feel you on that one.
There it is.
I didn't say barbecue, but barbecue should be in there somewhere too. God, I love barbecue.
I mean, Korean. You got Korean barbecue on there.
That's true.
It's close.
But yeah, like American barbecue.
Yeah.
Some smoked brisket or
Honorable mention.
Too many to name.
Well, that's why 4 is always tough, and that's why I like it being 4, because you can pick 3.
Yeah,
you can go bang bang bang, but the 4th one is like. But guys, if you don't know Maxf streams, you can hit ! Guest, and that will pull up his Twitch stream. He has been streaming for quite some time now. He's got a fantastic stream. Does lots of builds. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the shirt, he likes TGR boards. he likes the finer things in life.
I don't think I can say it, so I'll just say I shill for TGR. I don't think I can say the other S word without getting you guys in trouble, but that's true too.
It's okay.
But welcome to Mechs on Deck. It's the first time. We've been meaning to get you on for a while, and I say this a lot, but like it just things get you get plans with, oh, we're gonna do this, or oh, this happens, or oh, this gets released, and then next thing you know, you're like, it's been 7 months since I've decided to bring this up again. So but welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I love what you guys do for the community. And just bringing awareness to products, to people, to issues, to everything in between. I think it's great. And so thank you for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. First off, I want to start off because I know you've been in the community for a long time, and I know you had done some like content and stuff and streaming before, and then you took a break, and then now recently, well, I guess not as recently, it's been quite some time now, but got back into streaming. How did you get into keyboards, and when did that all start?
Okay. So God, when I first got into it was in the computer lab, age probably 7, playing Oregon Trail, right? On like,
oh yeah, brother,
Apple, and an Apple like M0110. Oh God, hey Kimchi. But yeah, what brought me back around to it was like early 2000s to like 2010 era. I had a gaming keyboard that I thought was garbage, and I wanted to get something nicer for the office, and also something that didn't have like RGB and some decals on it and everything else, something that like people in the office wouldn't ask questions on it. So I was originally like, oh, I should get some like vintage keyboard or something, and I instantly thought of like IBMs and like the old school, and I was like, and then as soon as I found Cherry-O-san. Have you guys if you don't know him on YouTube, he's got like the velvet.
Yeah, he reviews all the older boards, right?
So I found his YouTube because he's been doing content for forever, and I was instantly reminded that IBMs are like the loudest thing on the face of the planet. So I was like, yeah, I probably can't bring that into the office. And from there, I like kind of found in my research a couple of other different companies, and I found a VE80 back in like 2014 with some Cherry MX clears on it. I was like, this is beige and black, nobody will ask any questions, let's go with that. And so I picked that up and off Massdrop, and I had been to Massdrop for audio equipment. I had a colleague who was super into like audiophile gear and pointed me to it, and I found the mechanical keyboards like on that, and then from there that kind of like transitioned me to Reddit and then everything else. I think Reddit was, I say, going strong. I think it probably had like maybe 100,000 subscribers when I got in around like late 2014, early 2015. And I had kind of come in as like the second wave. I think like I had missed the first wave of like, very, very old school, like clack collectors and the guys who just had the HHKB. And and I'd missed like all the OTD and like KMAC guys. I was coming in like just kind of on like the heels of that. And so like Duck was kind of doing his thing. SA sets were big. Signature Plastics was running like one of those a year. So I remember seeing the first keyboard that like caught my eye was a Duck Blackbird with SA comp depths. And that I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, this is a pitfall that I absolutely want to fall into. The rest was kind of history. I mean, you asked about streaming too. I can pause for a break, or I can go into how I started that too if you want.
By all means,
go for it.
Just showing off the shill jug. I like it.
Dude, that was just so
tiny. I got Zaps. Zaps is deep. I got another one that's like really far under there.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Yeah, the stickers. I need to update. Some of my stickers are falling off. I actually like cut my hand on one of on the Hungerwork Studio. I actually cut my finger on this one because it's like metallic the other day. I need to update some more stickers. But I got into it, and yeah, I mean, God, talk about being like priced. If I had come into it today, like talk about being like priced out of it, I would have never gotten, as deep as I am if I had been starting keyboards right now. I came in at a time where things were a lot cheaper. But even then, I started streaming just because I wanted to try everything. and so I was like, one of my first build was actually, I had purchased a bunch of stuff that was already built. My first build of my own was a 910, a CE, a collector's edition 910. And I was super nervous. But
it's a bold first build.
Yeah. So I mean, I had the proper tools, and everyone was telling me like, yeah, you got the right tools, watch a video or two, and you'll be fine. And so I was so nervous. I was literally like, the YouTube video I watched was like, hey, a good rule of thumb is do like a 3-second count on each solder joint. So I was literally like, I wasn't streaming this. I was literally like 1, 2, 3, next 1, 2. But yeah, streaming started because I liked the build. I enjoyed that process, and I just wanted to build everything. And so luckily people I guess trusted me enough to give me a shot. I think it was, I started streaming instantly too. And like the early day videos of me streaming it's a shit show.
I can go back and watch our old like talking head videos, but I can't watch our old stream. Like the corner awkward, like over the shoulder.
That was it. There was no
overhead.
There was no overhead. It was over the shoulder, like terrible angles. Yeah. And I think Anthony 001 was and Woden. You'd occasionally have a Woden stream, and Anthony 001 was like killing the game. He was like the only
Friday nights, man.
Yeah. And I got in right as he started. I started streaming right as he started streaming Legos. And so I was like, oh, my only competition just started streaming Legos. And so I'll cut in here and like find a little market. And Nathan Kim started a month before me. So I got destroyed. I was like, I've got a little market here. I think I'm a reasonably entertaining person. And yeah. So I don't have that Teja clout. But yeah, I just wanted to build everyone's stuff. And I've been lucky enough to be able to do just about that. I mean, I built a lot of keyboards.
Yeah, we definitely we kind of jokingly made a couple slights we're taking at Langlandia about being privileged, but streamers are privileged in the fact that we get to try way more things, especially in these times. We're fortunate to be able to try a lot of things that really I think really has shaped a lot of like what we like and what we don't like, because oftentimes it's like, hey, I built this board, I'm going to use it for a couple days. Most people, some people go like, no, send it to me now. But it's like, I'll build it on a Saturday, I'll send it out Monday, which means I'm going to be using it all weekend. And so it's like, you really get to tune what you like.
Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah. I love it. I mean, the hobby still hasn't lost that like luster for me. So it's a lot of fun.
So, and
definitely.
You mentioned,
okay.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, you mentioned something interesting that you don't know if you'd be able to get into the hobby due to the expense now, but back then, what is available now just seems so much better at the entry level, at the lower price, that I'm like, it is tough because the higher end market is definitely a lot higher, but there's so much stuff now at the entry level that I'm like, I don't know if I'd gotten in now, would I would I have stopped at entry level? And so I'm curious to know what your thoughts on like where we are. You know, you made the comment of you don't know if you would be as deep into it, but we're also, you know, the Tada 68 was about it in a 5 degree.
That's true. No, you bring up a great point. The way I kind of like justified it is the early days of like my collecting. You know, I had a handful of boards, like, you know, maybe like a quiver, right? Maybe 2 or 3 keyboards. You know, and I was like, I want like this form factor, like a 60, a 65, and a TKL, and I don't need more than one. And I think I was lucky when I started that like the standard was group by price plus 250 was like the flipper rate. That was it. Like, I mean, and everyone kind of, it was kind of like an unspoken agreed upon thing. It's like, what does this sell for aftermarket? It's like whatever it was group by price plus $250. And so you do that once, and then you could just exchange keyboards for other keyboards, pretty much. You know, and kind of find your way around at that point. Yeah, but there was so much fewer, so many fewer group buys. I mean, yeah, we have like, you know, these days we have like, you know, 20 GMK buys a month, just GMK, you know, and like, you know, back in the day it was like one a year. You had like one big group buy a year. And so yeah, so it was a lot different. You know, you know, talking about hyperfuse, everything is just so much more ironed out now. You know, I don't know if many, like, everyone knows like the meme of like hyperfuse, like, oh, where's my F8 key? Like, you know, and everything's like, you know, how it got lost. I think a lot of people don't understand how it got shipped back in those days, which is fun to get context on. So GMK only works with vendors now. But back in the day, like, it's just a normal person. You could be like, hey, I have these colors. They match up with this RAL or this Pantone. Can we run this in your molds? And they would set it up with a random person. Like, I could reach out to them and do this. In the early days of it, when things were fulfilled, they would basically just send you a garbage bag of all of the keycaps that were like purchased in your group buy, and you pretty much had to like sort everything. So imagine getting like a freight box on your doorstep of just like a million Legos of like, you know, keycaps, and nothing's sorted. You have no idea like what's what and where everything goes, and you just have to like go through and
just think of the page up and page down.
Yeah.
Like that's the one. Like,
so,
which one is this one?
Kudos to like anybody who like ran a set back in the day, because yeah, you're like the true heroes of the community, the unspoken hero. Yeah.
They're probably not in the community anymore. I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
They did it once, and they're all like, all right, well, that was fun. Never doing that
again. I think my biggest thing that I feel like sucks now compared to, you know, even just a year and a half, 2 years ago for group buys and like keycap sets and stuff, is that there's so much happening that you can't get in on everything that you want unless you're spending, you know, tens of thousands of dollars a year on product, because it's just like, whereas before you could get in on the hype boards, the boards that you know are going to be super high quality. You could get on all of them because they would run once every month, every 2 months, sometimes once a quarter, you know, whereas now it's like, I mean, hell, we've got vendors that have, I mean, Candy Keys right now this month had 3 keycap sets and 2 keyboards running at the same time. That was like what would run in an entire quarter in 2018.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it is. Yeah. To answer your question though, Chewy, to go back to it, I mean, yeah, it is. It's like which side of the sword do you prefer? I guess there's, you know, I guess there's positives and negatives to it both ways. But yeah, I mean, I think when I say outpaced by it too, I mean, you know, going back to my original point, yeah, and I think I have to draw back to what you just said, you know, Cyrus. Yeah, it's so much now that like I see all this stuff and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I got to have that. And then like, yeah, it's just, I mean, it adds up. And I mean, imagine doing that like aftermarket stuff, you know, and so which I think a lot of people do, because a lot of people are like, you get burned once by like a keycap set like not coming out in the right colors, and the next thing you know, you're like, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna do another group buy. I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna bite the bullet on like aftermarket pricing.
Man.
Yeah, it's interesting on I have Mizu. Granted, I got Mizu after it had already been released. Peaches and Cream, I think, is the only offending keycap set because now we have GMK Peaches and Cream Try Again that is coming out now, and that's not. I mean, and for those who don't, I don't hate Ren. Ren makes amazing key sets. I still love Peaches and Cream how it came out. I love that it's like super bright and it literally I get more comments about what's that orange board on your desk about the it's bumper with Peaches and Cream. It's kind of like a statement piece. But yeah, it's like I haven't really been burned too much. The only set I can really think of being like I didn't like it, but it was hard to tell was Waves, because Waves to me that green was like so intense. I was like, I didn't think it didn't match. It's just once I saw it in person, I was like, I don't like this as much as I used to. And there it is. Osiris still has his.
Dude, I like it.
It looks cool, but like I didn't like looking at it all. Like it didn't do it for me. I was like, okay. And I love green sets. I've got a shit ton, and green's my favorite color, but it was just too much and too polarizing for me. I was like, all right, well, if I'm not in love with it, then get rid of it.
Yeah, it is electric. Yeah, it's like a GMK Terminal. Like, did you like Terminal? Like,
I'd love Terminal. I want Terminal to run again.
Yeah.
Didn't it try and then it didn't happen?
No, that was Coniferous.
That's right. It's Coniferous.
Coniferous sold like 18 kits in a month, and they were like,
let's not do this. Yeah,
I think it'd do fine now, but I think there are better sets now because that's just kind of
fine now.
That's just kind of the GMK Carbon, but in green.
Yeah,
because
everything hits MOQ these days. I remember seeing dots. It was like 7,000 base kits.
I did all of the math. I forgot which stream it was. It was I counted how many dots there were, because someone asked, well, how many dots were sold? And so I went through and I counted every single dot kit. It was like 1.2 million dots.
Good Lord.
That's so funny.
Random stats brought to you by Chewy.
The monetary value to it is insane when you crunch just the base kit numbers alone. You're like, this is like real like business money now. Like at first it was like 200, 300 orders. You're like, hey, GMK can't be like making a profit off of this. Like it probably enough to like cover it, right?
Yeah, they're not losing
a while. But with with 7,000 sets, base kits alone.
I mean, I remember when Moto Light hit 500, people were like, or not Moto Light, but Moto, they were like, oh, fuck, 500 base kits. This set sold insanely. And now, it's like you only sold 500.
That's day one, It's day one.
Yeah. That's like opening hour. Fucking Olivia had like 1,000 kits sold in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Dude,
around 2.
It's crazy that like you look at a company like Novel Keys and you're like, this is a company that's making like in revenue, not profit obviously, but like 8 figures or like 8 figures a year. Like like they are a multi-million-dollar company now at this point. When you look, 3 years ago when they just sold switches, it was, just Mike and his small team. It's crazy.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah, I love Sickler and team. Yeah, those guys are great.
They're lit. So I wanted to bring up just kind of a discussion of the day because we're going to start seeing boards go up in price, or people are going to start changing what they want to sell. For those who don't know, aluminum prices are through the roof. And that means most materials are through the roof. That's because we've started to run out of the world is starting to run out of kind of the back ordered stuff, because there's a lot of stuff being reallocated to medical devices to fight the pandemic and all that stuff. And so we're going to start seeing like a massive rise in keyboard prices. It might not be this like dramatic thing, but we're going to start seeing $300 boards are now 350, and maybe that 450 is now going to be 500, 600 boards, and it's like a double-edged sword because the hobby's also able to. We're now like that's becoming the norm, and so I guess the question of the day is that okay? What happens if these prices go up, and how do we fix it?
I don't know if you can necessarily fix the shortage issue, but
or I guess how do you like adjust the hobby to either be able to handle this, or do we start making plastic boards more acceptable?
Right. Yeah. Do we pivot a little bit? Yeah. I mean, I don't have a good answer to the engineering side of it, but one part of it that's always kind of bugged me is that, and you even saw a little bit of it shift with, the tariffs that were inflicted on China in the couple of years, and board prices kind of reflecting that change. Just merely shipping things became so much more expensive that the prices had to go up to cover that. And like part and parcel with it is, I think there's always been kind of a trend that as a keyboard designer, which I'm not one, but a keyboard designer doesn't really make anything on their keyboard. They get to bring their, and historically it was kind of like, you design something, you run a small buy, we're talking like 30 to 50 units. You manufacture them, you might make a couple, right, $100 to $1,000 or something like that. The main perk to it was, you got your design brought to life, and people had a successful buy. But there's so much time investment, and to think about like running that as a business, I think kind of like the model there has always been flawed. And it's kind of just been like, to say industry standard kind of feels weird, but it's kind of been like the standard of our hobby, to where, in order to keep prices low, we just have designers who are just great people who, kind of, fit into this boat of like, I'm just going to produce something and, make it as cheap as I can, and, charge enough. It's almost like the profit they charge is like what they need to charge to like cover themselves for like insurance value, right?
Yeah.
Like if something goes wrong, I need to charge this much extra to make sure that I have myself covered so that I'm not losing too much money. And then, if it all goes right, then maybe I make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember Simon ran ISO, and just because, I mean, one of the parts of it was just because he wanted to meme with his price of $69. But the other part of it is that, I mean, things went wrong and he lost a ton of money, running that. He was just like, I just wanted to do it. And then he like ended up losing, a couple $1,000 on it. I'm like, to lose money to put that much time and effort into something. I mean, you just have to be thankful that we've got people who are willing to do that. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Chewy. I think the problem is it's certainly going to get worse. It's not going to, the shortage isn't going to go away, and things are going to continually get more expensive. You got to just wonder, like, will the community grow with it and be like, this is acceptable, Right?
The community is interesting because none of the products, well, not none, some of them are now, but for the most part, a lot of small buys, a lot of boards that are get thrown up on Keycaps, get picked up by a vendor, and then run. They're not designed to fit a specific price bracket or price point. It's designed, they figure out, they take it to a manufacturer. Manufacturer's like, yep, this is how much it costs to make it. Then it goes back and it's like, okay, well, how do we fold in all the other stuff we have to do and all the timing and everything, and what kind of makes sense? And then that price is the result. The price that you see is a result of all that. It's not like, we need to make a board that costs this much money.
Yeah.
And then they fit into that box. And that's the thing is, here in America, here, I think in a lot of the world, most things are that way, where it's like, we need to fit in this price bracket, and it needs to cost exactly this much money, and we need to make it as, fit into that as much as possible and maintain this percentage of profit. And then they go from there. They cut corners in certain ways. They change materials up to make it fit into that. Our community's the other way. It's like, we make the product what we want first, figure out the cost later. And that's why boards are always going to shift up because things get more expensive, tariffs happen, COVID happens, and then all of a sudden aluminum shipping things is more expensive. The US dollar gets lower in value comparative to other
Man,
countries.
do you remember when that was a thing with GMK?
Dude,
that was like a big deal. When GMK base kits were 150 and then they would go up to 160 because the euro was trash for a little bit. God, that was a weird time.
Yeah. It brings you a little bit into the business world of it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, and like it's like when I ran the Baka 60, Eric knows all the numbers. I'm not going to publicly release any of the actual numbers, but I made I didn't make $300. And after I shipped off the final products, I did not even make $300. So,
right.
it was 20 boards, so lower numbers, obviously, or lower profits. But what's the other thing that's interesting is what I see a lot is, well, if you're making more boards, why couldn't it be cheaper? It's like, yeah, but I'm also making. That's the more boards, the more things can go wrong, right? And it's
more things to QC,
that's more time and man hours. Screws are fucking expensive. Holy shit.
More SKUs to manage to make sure oh yeah, I mean just everything. Yeah. And it all kind of goes back to like as a keyboard designer, you have to realize that your time doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Your time, you're not getting paid for your time.
Ever. Right. Which in industry standard is like the complete opposite, Mm-hmm. And so, so you see some people that are like, Key Cult, for example, will like run the commissions, and the commissions, start right, in the thousands of dollars, right? Because in that instance, like, you are to an extent paying for their time, the designer's time to work that up, and it's what makes it worthwhile for Zach and George, just for example, to run that. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of different things that are getting better. Like GMMK, the Pro, GMMK Pro that is coming out. I mean, how they're able to hit that price point. I mean, it's 75% is not for me, but it's pretty incredible. And they added some really nice features to that. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it will still be a little while before we get to a point where, in stock group buys is like the norm. I think we'll still be having group buys, and I think we'll still have a long, probably at least a couple of years until the demand, or the supply catches up to the demand. So they'll be flipping for the foreseeable future, at least to an extent. And so, it's kind of like, how do you go about tackling that? Kind of like what market do you want to, this to appeal to, and as you said, Osiris, I mean, you've got the companies who are like, this is how we need to make this to be able to fit into this price point, whereas we look at it as in, this is what I want to do, and how do I, how much do I need to charge to not lose money on this? Right. And so, I'm just thinking, you've got enough designers that are out there that are doing it for the community, and those people, praised, and as they should be, hey, taking the fall to produce something super nice, super awesome. Sam from TGR, Elaine from Singa, Gian Narks, all these, Zach, and a ton of people that I'm can't name, but all these designers that just donate their time free of charge to give us cool stuff. It's just awesome. That's why I love the hobby. That's why I've been in it for so long. It keeps me coming back. I mean, the communal aspect to it. There's just so many positives, I think, to pull out of it. The fact that I'm able to have a keyboard stream and build this stuff up and have an audience and, talk not only about keyboards, but mental health issues and everything else in between. It's just I feel lucky, right? And so in this day and age, it's just cool. It's just cool to have all this going on and have people interested.
Mm-hmm. So Teja heard you were talking shit, by the way.
Oh man,
I like his
I like Teja's just scale.
Just scale. Just take the risk. And was it Sean DePalsey says?
Wait, what? He said, "Wait, what? I don't think Nathan knows what we're talking about."
I was just messing with you.
Right.
But yeah, the sorry, what? So, but yeah, the when the Sean DePalsy says like, yeah, literally having to carry almost 100 keyboards and by the way, those boards are 5 pounds each up the fucking stairs, down the fucking stairs, like into a 2-bedroom apartment, and get them all like, thank God for my wife, because what sucks is when I talked about this, I ignorantly was like, "Oh man, the pandemic will only be like 4 or 5 months, and we'll just do like a QC party. Like Eric and I will be like looking at the boards, and then we'll hand them off to some other people, and they'll pack it all up." And nope. After that, it was like, "Oh, we gotta do this ourselves."
I feel like when you said that, it wasn't ignorant because I'm pretty sure the entirety of America thought it was going to be like, oh, we'll
be good by summer. Yeah.
We're good, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'll tell you that. I mean, we took a week off of Mechs on Deck so I could just like exist, because it's tough. And then it's the awkward part is when honestly the worst part of it is when all the boards are shipped and it's the day after and you're just like like the calm before the storm, and I'll get a PM that says it says it got delivered but it didn't. I was like, God damn it. And you're just like twiddling your thumbs for a week as boards slowly move in.
Something with COVID, yeah, shipping just got so shady. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
dude,
tell me about
USPS, they would just mark things as like, you'd have like a date that it was supposed to arrive, and then that date would go away, and it would just say arriving late. Wouldn't say where it is, just says arriving late, and you're like, sick.
Oh, this is nerve-wracking. Yeah. Well, and there was no good alternative. Like, heaven forbid you tried to use FedEx or UPS in the alternative, because, not talking shit against them, but they just aren't built up to handle that bulk and that right, that caliber of of the number, right, of people shipping things. And so as soon as everyone like lost trust in United States Postal Service, everyone started going to UPS and FedEx, and they were just like overwhelmed instantly.
FedEx like changed, and I think UPS as well changed like the rules, basically making signature upon delivery irrelevant. During COVID. Yeah. So like even if you paid for signature upon delivery,
they're throwing it at the door and running.
Yeah, they would sign it themselves, which like
defeats
the purpose of it, And
then it's left at the porch and somebody's
that literally, that's why I did not do signature on this. It's like, well, they don't do it anyway. The amount of stuff that I've had shown up that's supposed to be signature, that I get a knock and the dude just runs. I get it. I mean, you're in an awkward spot to where you could, some dude could open the door and cough on you, and next thing you know, you're out of a job. But the other worst part is that's the only thing you can't control. It's the only part of the group, but you can't you can't control really how fast they make it, but it's the only thing where you kind of have to be like, I'm trusting this company to finish the group buy for me. And it's like driving away, even with the Bacas, the original Bacas, that was terrifying. To like, I only shipped, like, of the first ones, I think I only shipped 8 myself because a bunch were local, and then I shipped a bunch to Tyson.
Was that private, first one?
What?
Was it private? Was that a smaller, like, private?
For the most part, I announced it. I had like 5 open spots because it was only 20, and at the time, I mean, Mechs on Deck was only like 6 months old at the time, I think.
Great.
There it is.
Apiary.
Apiary, PM me. I have to talk to you about a potential dinner date.
Dinner date?
So, Apiary, thank you for the raid. But yeah, it was 20. I think I wound up having like 4 spots. And so I just pinged the Discord, and I was like, if you want a spot, and ironically, that's kind of the end that our moderator Brez got. He was like, he got a spot, and then I, through talking to him in the private Baca Discord.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Sorry, Chewy. Go ahead, brother.
There it is. No, you're good. That's a respectable reason to take a quick pause. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was basically private, and
So knowing with the pseudo public buy, then after the follow, I mean, would you do it? Would you do it again?
what, a private buy?
No, the public buy, the later 20 unit buy that you did. Would you do it again?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done. I'm about to do my third at this point. It's
So
fun. It's fun.
Community,
It's
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm not doing now. This one I'm working with a vendor now, a local vendor, so I can still get my hands on everything. So just because, not that I don't trust the vendor, it's 3D Keeps. Not that I don't trust them, but the only people I would trust at the moment are myself, my wife, and Eric. That I would be comfortable being like, you saw the board, ship it out, and my
Right.
wife and Eric would be the two people that I'm like, what I'm looking for.
Right.
And if you got your hands on it and I never saw it, I trust that would be the one, because I didn't QC. I QC'd probably 60 to 70% of them, or my wife did the other. So
I'm so possessive. I would have such difficulty with that.
it's
I could trust my wife.
after 20, it gets.
I need to say that for keep my happy home if Em is watching this, but
You do get possessive a little bit, but then after 20, I'm like, if you can knock out 20, that'd be great.
right.
So, but no, it's fun. He's waiting to get on that Hoya.
That's not for me, but I can give you a sheesh. There you go. That's the Twitch meta right now, is the sheesh.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get you with one of those.
That's the way.
So Sean DePalsy says, I wouldn't be able to trust myself since I'm not a perfectionist. There's the tip. Set a reasonable standard, right? So
Keyboard people are so fickle, though. The reasonable standard for keyboard people is perfection.
Exactly.
If it's anything less, man, I mean,
listen, if I'm going to throw shade at anyone, Key Colt, you're really making my job a lot harder. Right?
Dude, but the thing is I feel like people have I feel like people have this idea of the quality of, for instance, TGR boards, super high quality, and they've always been really well done, really well QC'd, but they're not perfect boards, right? Like Keycolt came out or especially more recent ones have been higher QC level than the TGR stuff, and people are always like, oh, this isn't TGR level, this isn't. It's like there wasn't anything like that crazy special about those boards in terms of how they were QC'd. They were just really well designed boards ahead of their time, right?
Well, Sam goes crazy too. I mean, and what's funny about Sam is you generally find a manufacturer that you work with and you lock it in so that you form that relationship with them, and so long as they don't start charging astronomical prices, you keep working with them. Sam loves just getting more and more manufacturers involved to try and find the best price. And so Sam's constantly moving from one manufacturer to the next and forming new relationships, which is fantastic because then he leaves in the wake of all of the manufacturers he works with, manufacturers that are capable of then working with the next designer. Hey, I'm going to move on to this next manufacturer. You take these guys and build your board with them. They just did my Jane CE. I'm ready to move on to the next guy. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how he does it. He's insane. But yeah, I mean the quality control of Keycold is insane. They switched to in-house. It made it easier for them. And yeah, I mean just they're. I think the standard for those higher end keyboards, it's so high. We expect so much. And then there's this huge disparity between the number of people that want that, people that actually have that and can get that, and so you see these prices. It's a good transition for me to do a little shameless promotion if I can.
Go for it.
So I'm not ready to release it yet, but I hope to soon. And one of the kind of things that I was always frustrated by was seeing the boards flipping for $4,000 or $5,000 plus, and it just kind of drove me insane. so I'm hoping to, release, and I've got a couple of promotions coming up here soon, with boards that I'm working with Sam and a couple of other designers, and we're trying to bring in a more accessible commission service, that will be available to more people. And Sam's words, not mine. We'd love to ultimately make it to where it's made to order whenever you're ready for it, and we kind of just keep the service open and we don't close it. So
That's
this
sick.
is kind of going to provide like a little bit of an intermediary between, like, Sam's still going to run, and the other designers I'm working with. It's not just Sam. Sam's still going to run his group buy boards, right? And those will be in that, they'll always be in that competitive, group buy price point. And then, but in the meantime, if you're like, I can't wait, or I have my own vision, and that's kind of where we hope to fill that void of not only do you get what you want, but you get to make it what you want, and kind of get that extra little like added personalization and touch on it. You can add your own engrave, you can switch it up a little bit within reason, and so and it comes in at a higher price point, but it makes it so that if you're paying close to flipper prices, you at least get something that's truly unique and a little bit more special than just, not that the group buy board isn't special, but something,
Well, it's special to you, right? It's like, this is my board, especially if you can get an engraving service done.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would almost make that like a standard, right? Where it's like, you have to get it engraved. If you're not looking for tips, but here's the make them get something engraved so that like they
do
can't
something, make it,
flip it.
yeah. I mean, make it, and I mean, whatever they want to do. I mean, it's their board. I mean,
it's their board.
but yeah, I mean, it is, it's something to hopefully kind of like bridge that gap between the people that are like, oh, well, I'll just pay $3,000 for what I want because that's what I want and I've got the money. Imagine paying, instead $1,500 to get something unique to you, ordered and designed. So yeah, and I mean, that's the other part too that kind of, I think a lot of people would see positivity in. Is it Wool or Wooly brought up, the money then goes to the designer, and I like that too.
Mhm.
And I've often talked to Sam, and he's had people that come up to him and be like, hey, I flipped one of your boards, I'd love to give you some of this profit, and he's always just like, nah, don't worry about it. And so whether he gets gifted things or not, I don't know, and I'm just talking about him in general, but I'm sure other designers have had the same thing. It is, one of those things that, they don't see the profit from that.
Yeah.
So
Well, hopefully
hoping to.
something like that, hopefully with you starting that with the designers that you're working with, can also in turn lower the amount of people that are just getting in on these raffles or trying to snipe a group buy spot at 0.01 seconds after it opens, literally with the sole reason of, once I get it, I'm putting it on Mech Market for 5 times the price.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
that sucks. I hate seeing boards that are completely unbuilt, that have never been touched on Mech Market.
NRFB.
Yeah, it's
Right.
that hurts
Like
my
fodder
soul.
for what they want to get next.
Yeah, it's like there's countless other people. There's thousands of other people that would have loved to have had that board and at least given it a shot. And that's my thing. Give it a shot.
The Iron 165 that went up for $2,000 before some people even got theirs in the mail. That just killed me. The other StockX going to have keeps. I mean, honestly, that wouldn't be the worst, but that's a lot of risk.
The thing is so that the reason why that won't happen is because of all of the back end data that would have to go into making the system, and that would not be like, because then they'd have to figure out a way to like get organized by manufacturer, by brand. Like that won't happen until like if it does, it would only be like Keycult, TGR, Iron, and like Bauer.
Basically boards run by vendors. But the other thing you were talking about earlier though is the quality, the QC and the expectation for these boards to be just perfect, like literally perfect. It kind of drives me insane because one, this is a very personalized opinion. Cyrus, I know, knows about. I love like a guitar that's damaged, right? Like it's like still usable, but like scratch and dents. I'm like, that needs love too. There's this man. This is so off topic. the Grandma Hannon's PRS, baby, had this fucking ravine taken out of it. It was this like it was basically like a peach pink
Pepto-Bismol, but yeah.
Pepto-Bismol, and it had this massive scratch, and it just sat on the wall of the Guitar Center Eric and I used to work at. And I was like, damaged things need some love too. And I would never want to send someone something damaged. Like, obviously, there's a difference between, oh, this has got a little, maybe the anodization's not the key cult level of acceptability. But I also feel like this hobby, I've talked about it before, is where people get in and they're like, instead of like opening up the board and being like, oh man, I'm really enjoying this, I'm going to just do that. They're like,
right.
Is that a scratch? What the fuck is that? And I'm like, you didn't even enjoy opening. And I caught myself on 2 times that I've done this. I did this with Waves because of the floating C. I didn't open it and go, man, that's a cool looking set. I opened it as fast as I could to see if the C was fucked up, and it was. And then I did the same thing with Grain. Right. Did I get a messed up key? And I'm like, I need to remember, and I really hope to people to remind themselves, like, these are like time and effort has been put into these by someone. Like, enjoy it for a split second at least before you just like don't tear into it and be the first person to. It's like everyone wants to be the person that says, look how shit quality this is. I'm like, then why did you even, were you even excited? Or are you just did you just do this to try and get a Joan Calamezzo gotcha moment? Like take some, and the only board I've really done that to was, I played the fun game of find the B stock mark on the key cult, and it took forever.
Oh,
it's this little bit of baby mark, and it was gone in a week because of yep. It was a key cult. This tiny little mark, and it's completely gone now because of patina. So
yeah, right. One of George's beard hairs or something fell on it, and that's like, oh, that's B stock now.
B stock gone.
Their boards are nuts.
I took 4 breaths near this board instead of my usual 3.
Right.
B-stock.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, that's we're kind of hoping to fill that. We're kind of hoping to fill that, void, I think, where it is in the market. Yeah, we'll have a website, we'll have an announcement with all the designers we're coming out with. And yeah, I mean, we're hoping to get to the point where we kind of just fulfill these, on a case by case basis. I'm sure we'll get an in-surge of them as soon as we start it. But yeah, I mean, hopefully pending the hours, we can commit to it. We can catch up and just kind of keep this thing going and have it as a, when you're ready, it'll be there for you. So yeah, we'll have fun with it. I think my only reservation and requirement is that people come to me with a cool idea in mind. If they come to me and just say, hey, I want a Jane V2, I'll be like, you gotta sell me on something here. What are we mixing up? Because I don't think Sam would be excited about just redoing the same boards over and over again, So we'll have fun. Yeah. We'll have fun with it.
That's going to be an awesome thing for the community. That'll hopefully relieve a lot of the stress that is on group buys and will allow some people who are maybe the holdouts that have been waiting, trying to find a high-end board, a nice TGR board or from one of the other designers that's involved. And they look at Mech Market every day and they're like, man, I'm prepared to spend like $4 or $5 grand. But then they see it listed for $7 and they're like, well, shit. Hopefully this will be a chance for them to kind of get something that they really enjoy and something that they can love for years to come. Because as you've seen, because you've been in the hobby for such a long time, these boards are not like, yes, we buy a lot of them and we switch through a lot of them, but they are something that you will enjoy and you'll continue to come back to for many, many years. Not just like the hot thing on your desk.
Yeah, they grow with you, and then you become a hoarder, and you have way too many of them.
Dude, you're like sentimental moment. I don't want to sell this.
I've definitely gotten the. Like, and I don't want this to sound bad. I love my wife, but she's like, So how many keyboards do you have now? It's fine. It's fine. We don't need to talk about it.
And you just start keeping them in Pelican boxes that can hold multiple.
I have one case.
Have too many, right? Yeah, cases that are out. Yeah. So
No, I just tell her, I'm like, you're in the hobby too. All right, you're the one you're waiting on group buys too.
right. They're outperforming all of my stocks. I mean, I don't. It's the best investment I've ever made.
See, that's the thing is like, I have like an itch right now to buy a new board, but I'm also like, I have 2 boards on the way, and if I buy a board right now, I'm not going to get it for like a year. And so I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to spend the money on buying like a board right now, or if I just want to wait, buy some keycap sets. I don't know. The itch will always.
Maybe we just need to like trade boards for a while. Just do a month where we just do a complete keyboard swap.
You would hate your life.
I would hate my life because I hate 65%.
Well, and my switches are all not heavy enough for you.
Yeah, that would be bad. You'd go back and you'd have nice flexed up fingers.
That's right.
The crown alone, I feel like you'd just be like, fuck this. You try and game with it for 5 minutes and be like, nope.
98 gram creams. Yeah, dude. We're not bottoming out anymore then.
Yeah.
We're proper 100% non bottom out typing the way you're supposed to.
But no, the hobby's all about bottoming. Come on. Slam that shit as hard as you can.
Bottoming out your switches, bottoming out your bank account, everything in between.
Everything bottoming out. 98 grams cream, stuff of paralysis demons. The funniest part about that is that was an accident. I bought 80-gram cherry MX springs. It was like 80 or 85 from KBD fans. They had like the cherry MX springs. And I used them and I was like, man, this is great. It's like heavy. I love it. And then like a long time later, much longer than I'm proud of, I bought 85-gram from TX keyboards when like they released those little like keyboard, the spring case things you could lube them with. And I was like, this is heavier and this is 80 grams than this 85. What the fuck? And I like went and looked and I'm like, oh my God, it's Cherry MX rated. So that means actuation's at 80. So I went and I like looked. I couldn't really find an exact bottom out. So I just took a switch on a scale. It was like 103. I was like, fuck. And I texted Eric. I was like, I've been using 103 gram springs for a long time without realizing it. And yeah, that just kind of became literally since then. I was like, all right, I guess I just gotta go buy more of these 103 gram springs.
There was a funny kind of instance, which almost became kind of like an unintended social experiment, where Elaine, she used to run keyboard springs, so Cat Weiwei springs, and one of her first rounds, I can't remember if the weight was supposed to be like 62 or 65. But the manufacturing plant made an error and they ended up getting shipped out at 55 gram. And there were a huge number of people that were like praising it as like one of the best springs. And so secretly they just really wanted a lighter spring. They just didn't know it. So, so to take an opposite stance.
Dude, yeah.
I'll never be a Mechs on deck again. Chewie's like, this guy would.
I'm messaging Eric right now. Like, how many fucking minutes left is this shit?
I have some of those. I have some of
38 grams.
Some of her springs that are like the 38 gram, which I'm like, when would you ever use something this light?
But anytime, any opportunity I get, that's it, baby. You're going to the finals in whatever video game you're playing. That's where you need those 38 grams, right?
Dude.
Speed.
Too light.
I would break the damn keyboard. You should Monday. So I had spring break from work. I forgot to bring a keyboard and I was like, God damn it. So I have to use my laptop. And Eric always makes fun of me because when I type, it's, the fucking little rubber domes that are like that big. I'm just like, like slamming on the keyboard. And even my coworker was like, you have loud keyboards. and it's worse you typing on a laptop. You sound like you're punching your laptop. I'm like, I fucking hate this.
One of the first, I think it was the first DC meetup that I hosted. I had everybody check in on my laptop, and I did not plug in a keyboard, so everyone had to use my MacBook Pro keyboard. So I was like instantly triggering everybody with
this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's like, why am I at a keyboard meetup and typing on this shit?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, but guys, if you have questions for Maxf Live, as well as us, please at Mechs on Deck so it's easier for us to find. We're happy to field as many questions as you guys would like. But no, I love what you're doing. I think that's fantastic. I think especially with like how creative can you get? Because like I definitely like hit up Jorge once. I was like, okay, hear me out. I was like, I am not going to buy this, but can you at least give me a number if this is the 60% board I wanted? And he was like, it was a Win keyless key colt. And I was like, oh, all right, never mind. It's like, I remember going to sleep that night and I'm like, okay, nope, that's never happening. like I can't even begin to justify. I mean, because I'm literally asking, like, you need to make a top that doesn't exist. Or I mean, it does. I think there's like one or two now, but I was like, that's, you're asking him to do something that is not offered normally. And yeah, it was
down payment on a house or a car.
Yeah, a car, like complete life-changing amount of money or a keyboard.
Yeah, so I'm assuming, where is it? I'm assuming you have the keyboard.
It's almost here. So
okay, nice.
I said swipe it, man. Just swipe it. I'll deal with it. That's tomorrow me's problem.
Exactly. We'll ask questions to that. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine.
Speaking of questions.
Go ahead. I appreciate that, Chewy. Yeah, I mean, and I am. I mean, as long as I'm still having fun with it, that's the goal, Yep. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, we've made it. It's a fun transition to watch. I mean, because everything's recorded, and I still have the oldest VODs up. And so, yeah, I mean, it's fun to go back to the old school days of Maxf streams, and look at how far I've come. I mean, so subsequently, like, and I said earlier, like, that keyboards has just desensitized me to everything. And so like things that I was like, oh, that's too much money for X. Now I'm just like, and it's a huge problem. Now I'm like, oh, that's reasonable. I can spend $3,000 on this camera. That's a fine.
That literally is covered.
I do that all the time.
Like, let's do this or that. I'm like, it's like, right. It's like, I mean, how much money do I really like? How much do I really want this keyboard versus this? Right. Literally, I sold a keyboard for that lens, this one,
right? Because
I was like, I kind of want that more than I want this keyboard right now. So.
Right. So yeah, so it's ruined me on that front. And I mean, yeah, any hobby, and I'm a lifelong hobbyist. So like anything else I get into, and I just know myself too well, where it's like, if I think I'm going to be interested in anything, I'm just like, straight to the deep end, because I know I'm not going to be happy with entry level, and it's just going to, I'm like, all right, so whatever. So I'm like thinking about getting into coffee, and I've got like a V60 and like a kettle, and like the next thing I'm putting in is like a $3,000 espresso machine. And I'm like, this is fine. This is a thing that reasonable people do, right?
Although, to be fair, coffee, if you get in and you don't go into espresso, not very expensive hobby. Not a very expensive hobby.
It's true. Yeah, like pour over. Yeah, very reasonable. Very, very reasonable. But it's just fun to like, it's fun to look at the transition and the history of it, with me. Like, I enjoy it. Like, I don't care if anyone else does. Like, I like looking at the old stuff, and it was like, God, I was terrible with all of this. Like, no wonder I'm not Teja, because all of my entry level stuff is just like garbage. I wouldn't want to watch me then.
We've said before, like, I'm like, man, fuck photographers, right? Because they just have, like, they have all the nice gear waiting. It's like, how much did it cost you to go to upgrade a stream? Cam link, maybe 2.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Capture card. Yeah, right. Yeah. I think Nathan and I spoke. I think his sister was super into videography, and so he was able to piggyback off of a lot of her gear, if I remember correctly, at the start. Now, obviously, I mean, he's got like a full like professional studio setup. But but yeah, I mean, and I luckily I enjoyed that as well. I mean, again, photography, videography, another hobbyist activity that I was able to like get all behind. And so, it's kind of funny that just keyboards just kind of like transitioned to camera equipment and lenses and audio equipment and, everything else in between. So, obviously I'm having fun with it, and my wife hasn't divorced me yet. So
Doing something right.
It's a plus. It's a plus.
Roll with it.
So, first question, Mason Gray says, Max, I ask everyone who says tacos in their fast four, what's your favorite taco meat?
Oh, I mean, I'm going steak all day, baby. Like I said, I brought up the bulgogi tacos from this Korean. It's kind of a chain, banchan. But I brought up that. But I mean, I can do any type of steak in there. We're good for sure. Chicken is a close second. I'm not a ground beef guy in tacos. I can do it, but
I'll do it in like a Taco Bell taco because sometimes you just need that like Taco Bell
Doritos.
taco.
The like
Yeah,
dirty
the
taco.
Locos, the Doritos Locos, nachos, like, whatever. Like sometimes you need that. Like sometimes like that's what hits, but like street tacos, no, ground beef is get out.
Yeah, I'm going chicken. Yeah, something with some seasoning and flavor to it. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, Ash.
Sean
give me all
DePaul's
the
asked,
tone.
is there a difference? Nope, there it is.
All the lingua.
Is there a difference between all the lingua? Is there a difference between gold-plated springs and normal silver ones? I haven't. No.
Yeah.
Some look cool when you put them in, but literally the spring is like the one thing you will literally like never see.
It's important to know that baby's gold plated.
Like I have one board that has gold plated springs, and it's because the 78 gram spring from Zelios that make Zykos are gold plated.
Yeah, anti-corrosive, but exactly. Who cares? You're lubing them with lube that's made for like aerospace equipment.
Yeah,
like,
right. Exactly.
Less pinging, but that's so like there's so many variables. Because one, you could just get a bad batch of springs. Two, if you lube them, again, it doesn't matter. And three, like it just how is it? There's so many other things that could make it pingy in the keyboard. It's like borderline. It's not impossible to test. It's just not even remotely worth it to test it. Just lube your springs.
We just have no consistent. Yeah, we have no consistent, like standard, right? And so and there are so many variables that change with everything. So yeah, so no, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. But then again, I mean, you're talking to a guy who probably can't tell the difference unless I'm using one of Chewy's keyboards. I can tell that's too heavy for me.
It'll make you question your morals for a few minutes after. Whenever I switch to the Crown, because the other thing too is it's a TKL, and I usually have a 60 on my desk. So it's like, bam! I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. It's also 7 fucking pounds.
That's right. It puts you in that mindset.
You're like, I'm ready to fucking.
You're gonna fight with your keyboard.
Pretty much. It's like you're gonna have to wrangle that thing on to like set it down, take a deep breath before you start on it. So next up, have you tried extra long springs similar to Kangaroo ink springs? I have not.
The progressives are longer, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I had a client send me some, I think they're cherry blacks or maybe some Gateron inks with the progressive springs in them. And I was gonna make the statement too that I'm probably a really bad tester for noticing the nuanced differences in consistency. Like I have to be very familiar with a keyboard to be able to say like yeah, all of this is like locked in, like all of these switches are consistent, everything is like creme de la creme. Generally the time I have with keyboards, I don't really get that familiar with them. They're clients boards that want to get it back, and so I ship them out pretty quickly. And so I've used them, but I haven't really extensively used them.
Yeah, I have some of the Kinetic Labs long boy springs on the way, the slows that are the like 22 millimeters. Yeah, Scott Water said 22 millimeters.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did like them. I didn't. There was nothing glaring about them that I was like, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, am I going to be able to say yes? These are more consistent than X. Nah, I can't. Yeah, I can't.
I stick with I literally outside of two. I have this Baca has 78-gram springs. So I guess two have gold plated. This Baca are Holy Pandas that I made with 78-gram springs from my Zelio V1s. And then my Zykos and my Key Colt have 78-gram springs. Everything else is novel keys. Novel keys to me makes just perfect springs. 74 is like the greatest for me for tactile. 89-gram, I have 89-gram tactile blueberries that feel amazing. I have 89-gram linears that are a little lighter. It's I almost wish there was a 94. I think 94 would honestly be peak for me. 98's a little heavy. 98 gets on the head.
We're such talking about keyboards like, I just wish there was just a spring weight right in this.
Right there, 94 grams. Come on, Mike, if you're listening, can we get the Chewy spring of like 94 is peak linear?
Well, and I'm over here. I'm like
Imagine running a group buy for people that think like this,
dude.
I mean, there's like 6 of us that are in our Discord. There are 6 of us, and it's the Heavy Springs Club.
If anything's wrong, I'm done. Yeah, and it's. I mean, I got to tell you, dude. I mean, I'm the same way. I've got my Cat Weiwei springs, my Gone springs, and my OG Gat Yellow springs, and that's like the holy trinity for me of springs. And I mean, I've used the newer Sprit ones. I'm excited. I am getting some of the progressive Sprit ones, and so I'm excited to try them. But yeah, that's my general go-to. Is those are the 3.
Yeah,
and watch they make like no difference.
I'm hard on the 63.5 gram linear springs now, so I'm excited to try the Long Boy Kinetic Labs 63.5. I think I'm gonna put them in some lavenders, and I may rebuild my Bauer with lavenders and take out the mauves.
Great weight.
Ooh, I mean, those that'll sound really good.
Some Ergo clears with those too. That's a good weight for Ergo clears.
True.
There it is. Well, I found because with 74 to me is peak, because 78 I was like, you do lose just a smidge of tactility.
Mm-hmm.
But 67 was too light for me. So I was like, 74, that'll be I have like 8 bags of 74 gram springs just sitting in my
I think the head
drawer.
I think I had a 72-gram Duck Viper with 72-gram Xylence. And I wasn't like offended by the weight. So it was in my arsenal for I think a good like half year or so. I actually traded it to Simon. I had one of Simon's like first builds that made it out of UAE. So it was worth it. It was a good trade. I got an M65 out of it.
Hey, not a bad board. Have any of you tinkered with mixing stabilizer parts? And is there any interesting combos you've discovered, either plate or PCB screw-in? Asks Stillawet. I cannot, but I know Eric can answer. Sorry.
Yeah,
that way.
I've done the C3 housing with the Duroc insert on a couple builds for people. And I think that is the superior way to do at least V1 Duroc stabs, because in my opinion, I am no longer going to shill for the Duroc, at least V1. Haven't tried V2. Duroc V1s, they, after about like the year that they've been out and they've been in some of my boards, they're just trash for like tactile builds. And they're starting to fall apart in some of my linear builds. There's just too much space. There's just too much space for it to move around. So doing the C3 housing with the Duroc insert definitely tightens it up a little bit, gives you a little bit more of the classic GMK feel, which I think all of us grew up on, that classic GMK stabilizer. I recently rebuilt my iron this past weekend with GMK stabs that I had, and I love it, and I missed GMK stabs. But if you can find old GMK stabs, get those, or get clip-in ones, because those don't have the same issues that the screw-ins do.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Max?
Yeah, cherry clipping's an easy clap. I've been doing a lot of C3 equals. Those have been pretty good in terms of quality control. I haven't had, I mean, really to speak of. I mean, I've done a ton of them. I haven't really had any issues with the wires in those coming to me, warped and bent. But again, I've only done a couple of very large bulk orders of them. Because I offer that as in my build service. Like if you just want them at cost, I'll just provide the stabilizers, and so that's what I've gotten in like a couple of bulk orders. So they did ship in a box, they didn't ship in a bag, so Post wasn't going to have any wires bent in like a padded bag or something. So that kind of had that going for me. But yeah, those have been good quality. And then yeah, I mean cherry clip-ins are easy, and I mean, you need them for some of the gasket gummy worm mount boards, and so definitely good to have those in your arsenal. I haven't done any Frankensteining with stabilizers. I generally keep it pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And I do all N9 housings for C3 because I'm a boring basic bitch.
I love it.
All beige keycaps. I do all wob keycaps, and I do all black or N9 off black stabilizers.
There you go.
Let's see. Kineticab. Glad we got 22 millimeter springs here. Trying the springs right now, lubing them up. Very nice. So, yeah, I mean, I think, and what's funny, I've had wire pop issues on the V1s a lot more, and that was like the big issue that they need to fix.
Yep.
But the other part is like, there's I am me, you are you. Eric and I had a 45-minute conversation about how to lube stabs. And I remember like halfway through it being like, we're the most boring motherfuckers. Because like,
are you a slider or a housing luber?
Oh, I'm both. I take to a stabilizer key is different. I want my stabilizers to feel different than the rest of the boards and the rest of the board. And Eric, and I'll let you take over on your opinion.
Yeah, I just think it should try to feel as close to the rest of the board as possible. Obviously, it is inherently a different keycap, but it should try to be as close to the rest of the board as possible, in my opinion.
So I go through lube like a motherfucker because I will fucking just paint that shit on. And I think that's why I have a little bit better luck with some heavier tactile spring boards, because I'm like, all right, well, it's not going. I can put so much goddamn lube in it that it's moving. That switch is going to force the switch of the cap up, regardless. Where when you're wanting to do a little bit lighter, it does create problems.
Sure, I'm somewhere in between. I'm okay with the stabilizer sounding a little bit different. I try not to go too overboard with lubing on the wire. But yeah, I mean, I want it to be creamy. I don't want there to be any noise. I test them pretty thoroughly every time I do a build. I recently found like the most phenomenal product ever. I'm not sponsored by Kinetic Labs, but that lube that they send out in the Miller Stevenson syringes, absolutely top notch. It's so good for doing spot treatments. And even after the fact, like I had a client who was local who came by after picking up a board, like brought his older keyboard that had just a little bit of noise in one of the stabilizers. And I ended up tuning up the entire board just to get like all the sound eliminated. And it was probably been like, 6 to 8 months since I had built it. And so, you get a little bit of like the nuanced like wiggle in them. Yeah. And that syringe just like knocks it out the park. It's like the needle nose tip on it. You're able to get it right there in the housing. And so, yeah, spot treatments on them were always like traditionally flawed because the syringe would always waste a bunch of lube, and you're like bringing it to the vial of 205 to try and like extract it. And then, so it was always a mess. Yeah. So the GS2 one, the GS2 lube is the thicker one. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. I've really enjoyed doing it. As soon as I did it for that client, I was like, all the keyboards that are on my shelf that I was like, I need to rebuild that. It's like outside my like daily rotation because the stabilizer didn't feel good. I was like, let's just try and like lube this up with that, spot treat it again and see if I can get it to work. And I was like, yeah, I mean, basically you spot treat it, just tap the key a ton and yeah, you're good to go.
Have you tried the BDZ, the X
I've been asked that a bunch. No, not yet.
It's good, man. I went through and hit every stab with it.
You need
it was
way less.
Yeah.
You need way less too, which is
Okay.
great.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Dude, I need to try it for sure. I go through so much lube. Yeah. As my viewers know, we're very friendly with lube. We're very lube on my channel.
So, well, yeah, I don't know. We're supposed to get like destroyed by a storm tonight?
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty intense here in the next like hour or so.
So, but I think it's a good time. We usually have the final 2 questions that we wrap up with. I guess, okay, let's get this last one. Do you have any opinions on optical switches? I do not.
I've never used an optical switch.
I've never used it. So yeah, that's about it.
Sorry.
So I wish I could give you more of an opinion, but I have been trying more switches. I told myself 2020 or 2021 I will try more switches, and I have, and I've been really liking it because 2020 I got lazy and stopped trying switches. But yeah, we usually end with the final 2 questions. So Eric, you want to take the first one?
Yeah, so the first one will be, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about the community or the hobby right now?
Oh, my favorite is just I think overall, I mean, there's a couple of examples that aren't right, but I mean, I think overall everyone is like in it together. I think that everyone is kind of like united in the common goal of making things better. And so that's cool. I mean, having a community that is genuinely, I talked a little trash about people who are so fickle in this hobby, but I think everyone's head is generally in the right spot. They want to see things get better, and they want to progress the hobby. I think that part is awesome. I mean, it's a generalized thing to say, but the community is just really cool in general. Running meetups. I've run the DC meetup for the past 2 years, hoping to do one again soon, as soon as we get through COVID. And yeah, I mean, I miss that. For those of you who are new to the hobby, who have joined since COVID, there is a whole world of this hobby that you are missing right now, which is a shame. And just like the camaraderie and everything that goes hand in hand with it. You meet people that are local to you that have this weird obsession with the same thing you do. And it's one thing to like see the growth on Reddit of like we're like hitting almost 1 million. Are we at 1 million yet at Reddit? We've passed the subreddit for Legos. I mean, it's insane to see the growth, and for all the new people that are in, like, I mean, once we get back to meetups, I just can't wait. I can't wait to meet all the new people. I love that. I love that element.
848,000. So we're getting there.
Getting close to 1 million subscribers, which is insane. The least favorite thing about the hobby right now, God, I mean, I'm so comfortable to it, so it's hard to say it's like my least favorite thing. I mean, originally it was the wait, right? The wait for that next product, right? And now I kind of wait for so many things that I just have like a cycle of like I'm always buying something, so I'm always receiving something, and what I'm receiving has just been ordered like a year before. But that wait kind of sucks, and I think that we will ultimately get to a point where things are more readily available. I'm seeing a trend to where, where in stock is starting to happen more and more. Group buy, I think eventually will go the way of the dodo. I think designers will just kind of, as we've changed. I was remarking that the other day. This is a funny story. Interest checks on Geekhack used to be literal interest checks. Yeah. And if you are new to the hobby, you probably missed that part of it. But Geekhack used to have like realistic interest checks that were like a couple of thoughts, a couple of images and sketches, maybe a CAD. And it was like, hey, what do you guys think of this? I'd love input on it. Now interest checks are like a polished product. And there's, all of
hype checks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of that. And if you don't have like renders, if you don't have like, your SKUs already figured out, your pricing all but figured out, it's kind of like, people just ignore it and like, oh, stop wasting our time. So, I mean, I hate that we lost a little bit of that, but that's just going to happen with any hobby. I mean, as we go from like a niche community to like, more and more mainstream, it'll just continue to happen. So I can't be an old curmudgeon. I've got to get with the times. So, I won't say I hate it because hate's such a strong word, but I think it's still there. My most favorite and least favorite is the community and maybe the loss of community.
Right.
I think the loss of community, I think, is just because we haven't had meetups. As soon as we get back into meetups, I'll be like, we're still there.
Yeah,
we're still
there.
We're still having fun.
Right,
a lot
right.
of geek hacks just moved to Discord.
Right.
Last question before it's getting a little nasty outside.
Yeah, I'm under a tornado warning currently.
Yeah.
That's my alarm system just went off telling me. So
I hear shit. So we'll kind of rapid fire this last one. Office or Parks and Rec?
Oh, Office. I love Parks and Rec, but The Office. Yeah,
they're both great. They're bangers. It's favorite.
Yeah. Now that it's off Netflix too, it's so hard.
Yep,
I need my.
Real quick, let me try and run through this. Let me try and run through the sponsor thing as fast as possible. Omnitype, GMK Norse last week. Go pick it up. Viking set. It's lit. Mechs.deck.project.link for project keyboards. GMK Astral running right now. Great set. Go check it out. Canna Keys, EPBD $79 base kit. EPBD aesthetic. Great set. DSA 1930. Is it 30s or is it third? Yeah, no, just 1930. GMK Fuji, dark amber switches, lots of really, really cool stuff on there. We've also got Zap cables. They make some of the best cables in the business. They've also got great desk mats. They've got the bumper keyboard, great stuff there. Tight Beast, he's running Mech Madness 2021. So make sure you guys go follow them on Instagram and go vote. Tight Beast also does an amazing newsletter, so check him out. And Smith & Rune has created two of the nicest keyboards in this hobby with the Iron 180 and the Iron 165. So we'll definitely see more from them. And check out their website if you want to support them. They also have some other cool merch and stuff on there. So I want to say thank you very much, Maxf. Sorry for the wait. It's been a minute, but we'll have you back on. To the time between the first time I said let's have him on and now will be shorter. So, but thank you very, very much for coming on. What do you have coming up?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Upcoming, we talked about it. I'm going to be releasing a website here soon that will go over all the details. It'll make, my front-facing presence a little more professional. The build service is here to stay. I have migrated over to a free build service, so that will continue. Offering these commission keyboards is going to be the new and upcoming thing for me. I'm hoping to debut that with the release of a design I have coming out for a small buy for a couple of friends, and more to follow. Want to build on that and keep it coming. If you're in the DC metro area, hope to see you guys here hopefully within a year, not calendar year, but hopefully within a year. We'll see. Keep the vaccinations going and stay safe, everybody.
Hell yeah.
So, and then we got Eric streaming this Saturday. What are you building?
I'm building a Matrix Noah with some holy pandas. So I've got to finish lubing those and get them all ready to go. But yeah, come hang out with me at 12 or noon Central Time on Saturday. We're going to be hanging out, building the board, talking about it. And I guess, we might try to see if the gap on this one is smaller than the gap on the last Noah I built, because that surprised the hell out of me. Last time I built it, I thought I did something wrong, but then I was told that's just how it is. But I think we're going to raid our boy, Mr. Jeff's Battle Station is live. He is building a Chimera. So good dude. He raided us a couple weeks ago. So return the favor over to him. And again, Mr. Maxf, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you. And go check him out if you haven't. Go give him a follow. Maxf Live on Twitch.
See you, chat. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all.
Bye, Switch Tester.